Hello. Hey, how's it going, guys? And people who know me or don't know me, I'm just a random guy. Anyway, it's been some time since I've done any kind of regular upload. Frankly, I it's hard to get on top of my workflows. Is the honest truth. Staying on top of workflows is difficult. At any rate, I just thought that something I could do. So I spent maybe the last 6, 8 months, something like that, streaming every single night, and it just sort of got to a point where it started to feel like a job, and streaming as a job was never my goal. Not unless it was going to pay like a job, and I mean that's nothing that's going to happen in any short period of time. It's possible. Some people grind away for a few years and then they eventually work themselves up to some sort of reasonable income from their streaming. But that being said, the majority of people who are successful in the sense that they're deriving enough income from their streaming where they don't have to do other work. That becomes their main source of income. In the majority of cases, this is when someone, through either just the right time for the right game during the right media blitz. This isn't someone that's generally grinded up slowly. It's going to be somebody that got a lot of attention and sort of managed to ride a bit of a wave. Now, over a long enough time period, obviously, those streamers who are able to stay relevant and to make a real go of it, and to make a whole lot of money. What am I even saying here? I guess I'm saying that generally speaking, that they've got to have something that keeps people coming back. You know what I mean? And for some people, I suppose, are just that charismatic that people are happy just to sort of tune in to hear from that person, to hear their thoughts on one thing or another. Now, eventually, familiarity does a lot of that work for you. There are, there are streamers that at different times I've liked or didn't like, and they might. I mean, I'm going in all sorts of directions now, but I guess I'm saying that I've let go of any kind of ideas that I might be suddenly successful. You know what I mean? Not that I was ever under any delusion at any point in time that this is the way it was going to go. But I guess what I'm saying is really that I'm actually just talking a whole lot of nonsense, which is, I suppose, that's fine too. That's fine too. People are either going to like your personality or not, based on any number of different reasons. But one thing I thought that I could do, here we are, 4 minutes and 20 seconds into the video already. One thing I thought I could do is just have a bit of a talk about games that I've just played in the last little bit of time, in the last week or two. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, I'm playing Doom the Dark Ages here. And I've always been a big fan of the series. I've been a big fan of ID Software in general, or id Software. Probably my favourite title, my favourite id Software title would be Doom Eternal. That being said, I do like Doom Dark Ages. I do. There was... In a way, I feel it was a bit telegraphed. Before, at least, certainly before they said anything about working specifically on a new Doom game, back when Eternal had just come out, and Hugo Martin, by all accounts, a very, very excellent human, it seems. It's certainly, it's unusual that someone so involved in game development also kind of steps into a community manager type of role. And look, I wouldn't say that he ever became a community manager as such, but he was certainly a very effective communicator and would speak directly with the players, directly with the fans. I talked to him a few times myself, and this is just through Facebook groups. He literally joined some of the big Doom Facebook groups and engaged with people there. He made a bunch of different videos where he's done his own Doom playthroughs. OG playing on not Ultra Nightmare, playing on Ultra Violence difficulty, but with a PlayStation controller or Xbox controller, whichever console he was using. He was playing Ultra Violence with a control pad. Incredibly difficult. It's such an incredibly difficult thing to do. You just, you learn to work around it. But and I'm a big fan of playing games with a control pad in general. Typically, I'll play kind of hack and slash games with a controller, but I'll use a mouse and keyboard for an FPS game. Like Doom, to me, Doom doesn't feel right on the controller, but it feels right. It feels right with a mouse and keyboard. I have played Doom with a controller. Actually, quite a few years ago now, I did do a playthrough of not Doom Eternal, but Doom 2016 on Twitch. I did that with a PlayStation controller, and that was a laugh. I mean, I got through it, but it's not easy. I tell you, it's not easy. Anyway, back onto the topic of Hugo Martin. So I feel that Doom Dark Ages was telegraphed even before they started work on the game. He wore, one day to a panel, he wore a Hexen t-shirt. Okay, and all of a sudden chat's flowing with questions. Oh my God, is there going to be a new Hexen game? Are we going to get a new Hexen? Which would be fantastic, of course, by the way. However, and he said himself, he loves the idea of a new Hexen game. Now, that didn't happen. There's no reason that it won't happen in the future. It might happen, but Doom Dark Ages is in a way it's kind of meeting Hexen halfway. Now Hugo said he liked the concept of if Doom Eternal, you're playing it, it makes you feel like like an acrobat or so, high speed, very agile fighting, weapon switching. Doom Dark Ages should make you feel like a tank, and the shield is great. It's definitely a very different feeling game. Comparing Dark Ages to Eternal, there's a lot of things I love about Dark Ages. I would prefer, I do prefer Eternal. I think it's overall the better game. And more to the point, you do still have to make some reasonably fast decisions in Dark Ages, but just the absolute joy of moving around at hyper speed and weapon switching to solve those boss fights, and not even just the bosses, but your elite troops and such needing weapon switching to get through those. You really felt, as I said, one of the things I thought I could have a bit of a talk about games that I've just been playing recently. Now, I've been playing a few games recently, and I was unsure whether or not to sort of include them all in the same video. To stop this getting out of hand, we're nearly at the 11-minute mark. And maybe one day I'll be making long videos or even doing essay content. But for the moment, I guess I just want to get back into the practice of uploading something. You know, even I hesitate to refer to anybody who watches my videos as a fan as such. I dislike the word fan. And friend is right for some, not for others, because I don't necessarily know all of the people who stumble across my videos or decide to watch them. And maybe I might even have hate watchers. Who knows? Who knows? They're welcome to watch and hate as well. But the point is that I've been so inconsistent over the years. Like, I've gone through periods where I'm making a bunch of videos. I get onto a particular track, and I've got something happening. I get a certain amount of momentum, and then one thing or another happens. I have something changes about my life. I have to move house, or I've got a new living situation, or I've got a job that just makes me feel like I've really got no time for anything other than just grinding and winding down. Those are two things, either grinding or winding down. And anyway, so recently, I as I said, I spent the last 6 months or so streaming every night, and I had a number of very kind irregulars, I suppose you would say. We'd have some great chats or whatever the subject was. I won't call any of those out just now. But yeah, so this is the thing. Streaming, for some period of time, I was very consistent. But the game I was playing, and to my shame, to my ultimate shame, I'm still playing that game. I'm still playing Game of Thrones King's Road. I won't talk about that much right now, and I have a love-hate relationship with the game. Huge fan of the intellectual property. Huge fan of Game of Thrones in general. But yeah, I won't go off into a Game of Thrones tangent just yet. But yes, look, I am still playing that game. Talk about, look, the things I either like or don't like about Dark Ages. So look, I generally like how it feels. I don't like it as much as Doom Eternal. But, I like it just fine. I like it just fine. Things that I don't like about it. So, look, there's the cutscenes in the story. Now, in and of themselves, I don't dislike the cutscenes. I think the cutscenes are well made. I think the story is certainly the most fleshed out story and storytelling we've had in any of the Doom games. My God, my dog's going off outside. I wish he would just not do that. Some random car up the road beeped its horn for some random reason, and now he's extremely distressed about it, and he's going to keep going on about it. I don't know if you can hear the dog bark coming right through to the microphone, but he's getting to me. And the thing is, he's getting a bit old. Probably got some dementia, in all honesty. I'm trying to get too distracted about about the dog. A dear old thing. But he barks in the most injurious way. He puts a particular affectation on his voice, a particular affectation on his bark, that if he were a human, you could only imagine him saying, this is the most important thing I've ever had to say. You have to listen to me right now. This is life and death. How dare you ignore me? How dare you? This is, if you don't come out right now, I'm going to hate you forever. That's the level of affectation he puts into his bark. So it actually hurts to hear it. Not just psychologically, which it certainly does, but it physically hurts my ears. Physically, I feel actual pain when he barks. Actual physical pain. And I just wish he wouldn't do that. Off on the dog tangent. But yeah, look, getting back to the cutscenes. So it's the most fleshed out version we've seen in any of the Doom games in terms of sort of how much effort and energy and time they've put into, you know, I won't say explaining, because it very much is a show, not tell kind of, cutscene approach. Like they're well crafted cutscenes. What I don't like, okay, what I don't like is that they take up any time at all away from the gameplay. I don't like that. In some games, long cutscenes just fine. It's all part of the game presentation. You in point of fact, you can't wait to get through that battle so you can see the next bit of the story and how that goes together. But you know what? Doom, particularly, I think Doom 2016 has the most effective. What's the term? Well, I mean, storytelling. Storytelling is it, really, isn't it? Storytelling. But yeah, look, here we are at the end of that level, and so I might just stop it there. I do plan to. Keep uploading. Okay, I'm going to loosely try and aim at getting maybe one of these up a week, just talking about the game that I've been playing in the week, and semi sort of blog type scenario. At the end of the day, I the main thing I'm trying to avoid, there's like a paralyzing effect. You can easily get caught up in the idea, oh, look, I can't put something up if it's not good enough quality, if it's not insightful enough, if it's not this, if it's not that, if it's not this. And then I just end up not putting anything up. I haven't got my workflow sorted out, any of these reasons. So, just for the sake of trying to get back into the swing of things, I'm going to try and stay on top of some sort of regular gameplay updates. Look, I'm not streaming at the moment. As I said, it became a bit of a chore, but if you like these, hopefully there'll be more like this, and I'll be back next week. Thank you very much. See you later.